Presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Number to join us on the program this morning, 888-250-2091. That's 888-250-2091. All right, folks. Last week on the program, if you missed the show last week, it was a doozy of a program. I have to say, it's probably, it was the third show of 2022. I think that was the best show we've had so far this year. Of the three, definitely in the top three for sure. But last week on the program, we talked about all the viruses and malware that were taking it to the next level in 2022. And it was almost prophetic in the way we talked about it because of everything else that's going on right now. We talked about the best way to charge your iPhone, not to make the battery last longer as in charged, but for the battery health, to improve the health of your battery so it doesn't degrade as fast. So that was kind of neat. The shocking reality that Norton LifeLock is actually installing crypto miners on your computer. There are still PEEP customers coming in that are like, hey, wait, explain this thing to me. They're installing a crypto miner on my computer. That's right. They install a crypto miner in your Windows directory, and they give you a little switch in your Norton LifeLock control panel that says, do you want to make extra money with your computer's downtime? Well, any idiot's going to click, sure, yep. And what you don't realize is you're actually spending more money. Because if you total up the power consumption, you total up the amount of crypto that you get, and then you take out Norton's 15% cut, well, guess what's left at the end? Not enough to pay the power bill, which means your Norton LifeLock license is actually costing you more than you thought. And on top of that, I learned when I was reading that they have a sliding scale. Each year you automatically renew, they charge you more than the previous year, up to a limit of $250 a year. So yeah, all of a sudden Sophos is looking pretty good. So we talked about all that stuff. If you want to get all the details, the in-depth stuff on that, you can check out the show from last week. Also, we did a quick live check to see what is in stock as far as computers in the metro area. We actually went to websites, we searched by in stock, and I wanted you guys to get a taste of the world that we are living in, because it's changing everything from repair decisions. Used to be, well, maybe I won't fix that. Maybe I'll just buy a new one. Well, when the new ones start at $1,000 everywhere, a lot more people are repairing than replacing. But because our computers don't start at $1,000, they start at their normal prices, we are selling a lot of computers to people we normally wouldn't see in the service center. People who aren't coming in because of repair work or coming in looking for service. It's basically your normal Best Buy fare, walking in the door, hey, I want to buy a computer. In Lincoln this week, we had a gentleman walk in the front door and say, need to buy a computer, need something with a little punch to it. And he got really lucky because the supply chain is so generous. We ordered holiday special laptops in October, and we just received 3 of them last week. Yep, can't return them because it's been more than 30 days since we ordered them. The return policy doesn't apply. So we're just stuck with these. Now, they're normally after the holiday special is over, we can still build and order holiday specials. They're just more expensive. They're like $1,800 instead of the normal $1,599. Reason being that we're not ordering them in bulk. We don't have a purchase agreement for them. But these 3 just literally showed up out of the blue at the previous price that we paid, and we're stuck with them. We can't send them back. Normally, we would just ship them back and say, you know what, sale's over, whatever. So we paid $1,599 for them, and so we're going to sell these for $1,599. So I have 2 units now remaining. We sold one to that gentleman because he was looking for a computer with some punch to it, and that is the understatement of the century for the holiday special laptop. To refresh your memory on this, we're talking 36 gigabytes of memory, an 10th generation i7 processor, 512 gig solid state hard drive with a backup hard drive built in, a mechanical backup drive, so that if your solid state ever does fail, it's backed up. 15-inch screen, not the 14, backlit keyboard, all the ports, the 3.1 USB ports, everything that you could ever want to have on the laptop, all in one place. So we do have 2 of those remaining. If this is something that you wanted to get in on last year but couldn't for some reason, this could be your chance to grab one. So if the service center that you call does not have one, have them check the other service centers because, like I said, there are 3. We did spread them out. Or there were 3. Now there's 2. Lincoln has one. I think they got replenished yesterday. So I know that Papillion has one. I know that Lincoln has one for sure. But we can get it to Omaha or Des Moines if that's where you'd prefer to pick it up. No sweat at all. 888-250-2091. Coming up on the program today, guys. Well, yet another piece of virus is coming out of China. That's right, the Chinese moon bounce. See, the names like COVID are so nasty now. There's such a negative connotation. They have to give, like, who's against a moon bounce? You know, a moon bounce. Woohoo! Now, this new moon bounce malware is making the case for Windows 11 plainly clear. All of the stuff that was last month and last year where we were like, it's so rotten that the computers have to be so advanced to run Windows 11. And the older computers can run it, but Microsoft just chooses not to let it run there. As much as that really, really, really does blow, this is exactly why. And so we're going to tell you about that coming up on the program today. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to jump, install or anything. Of course, we want to make sure you have good antivirus like Sophos installed every day. But this is a story that's going to drive home the point as to why Windows 11 is necessary. Because a lot of people are making the Windows 7 argument here and saying Windows 10 works just fine. And I know I could go to Windows 11, but why? What's the point? I have the latest thing. Yay. No one really gets excited about that because it doesn't really do much different right now. But it will protect you from stuff like this. Also, did you hear about Crypto.com? I try to keep a lot of the crypto news to the aftershock because it's a small sliver of the audience that's interested in it. But I have to tell you, when $31 million worth of money goes missing between 483 people, that's an average of $64,000 per person, by the way. It gets a little interesting. So we got some crypto theft going on. We're going to talk about that. Also, did you hear that Microsoft bought Activision? If you're into the stock market at all or you follow tech companies, Activision is the company that makes Call of Duty, one of the most popular first-person shooter video games ever made. Huge franchise, among other games. So why did Microsoft buy them? Well, because Microsoft is going to use Activision to get a foothold with NFTs and take it into the metaverse. And that means absolutely nothing to almost every single person listening to me right now. So what we're going to do on the program today is we're going to break it down Barney style and explain what is an NFT and why should you even care? Like, really, if you go to bed tonight and you don't know what an NFT is, are you going to lose out on life? If you go to bed tonight and you don't know how mortgage interest rates work, are you going to lose out on life? If you go to bed tonight and you don't understand why you shouldn't max out your first credit card, are you going to, sleep good tonight? So, yeah, there's a lot of things you could go to bed tonight not knowing that will impact your life later in a pretty dramatic way. This is one of them. So we're not going to get like way, way down into the weeds, guys, but we are going to explain a little bit about what they are and how they work. Also, are you tired of Gmail? Are you tired of Yahoo? Maybe you're ready to move on from that Outlook.com or Hotmail account. Maybe you're tired of them reading all your email, trying to figure out exactly what you're doing all the time so they can show you appropriate ads. Well, if that's you, if that's the case, there is an email service that is widely known for its privacy, and they are taking it to the next level. And I think this is something that you're going to be very happy about if you already use their service. It is a pay service. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as free email that is private. It does not exist. Anyone who tells you it exists is a liar, or it's a lead generator to get a bunch of people in so they can then start charging for it in the future. The thing here, guys, is if you are a fan of private email, this is definitely something that is going to trip your trigger. We're going to tell you about that coming up on the program here as well. Before we jump into this MoonBeam stuff, we get a lot of emails at Schrock about service because service is our thing. That's what we do. So I get an email when things go sideways, as I should, as I want to have happen. I also get emails on occasion, not as often when things go right because everybody just expects things to go right. but once in a while I do get an email, especially an email about a specific employee. Linda emailed me about Trenton in the Omaha Service Center. Thor, I just wanted to let you know how grateful I am for the help Trenton gave me this past week. I needed to print a report, and my printer would not work with my computer. Trenton worked with me before we hung up. And before we hung up, the report I needed was printed. I oftentimes try to solve problems myself, but I know that if I call Schrock Innovations, I'll get the help that I need. Trenton was patient, respectful, and knowledgeable. Thank you for hiring people who care about the customer. Trenton did not invoice her a thing. This fell into the 2 minutes or less category. If we can help a customer get something done in 2 minutes or less, we don't open a work order. We don't figure out how we can charge them for something. We don't try to upsell them into the latest, greatest thing. Now, Trenton may hit you up for a review. And my guess is that Linda doesn't have a Gmail account, so she probably doesn't have a Google account, so she probably can't leave a Google review. So Trenton was like, well, you could always send my boss an email. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But this is the thing at Schrock Innovations, when you need technology help, and it's something that our guys can do, whether it's how to move crypto. We had one customer call say she couldn't figure out how to move money into her Coinbase account, and she wanted to buy some crypto. So we helped her figure that out. It's not hard. We do it these guys do it every day themselves. So it's not hard for them to walk somebody through that. Now here we've got Linda trying to get something to print. There was an article. I didn't bring it into the program today. It was an article about how isn't it great that HP has a printer that finally works all the time? And I thought, wow, that would be fantastic because no printer, I've never seen an HP that works all the time for a long time. So we click on the link and it opens up and it's a story about how HP is planting trees. So your printer is constantly working to reduce carbon emissions by planting trees. And I'm like, okay, HP's planting trees, therefore my printer is working, but I still can't get it to print. Well, at least Trent was able to get Linda's printer to print for her. So that was cool there. All right, number to join us on the program if you have a question or a comment this morning is 888-250-2091. 888-250-2091. All right, so I mentioned that the Windows 11 thing is something that a lot of people get upset, excited, nervous, or just don't care about. So yeah, there's a whole new version of Windows out there called Windows 11 that you can install on your computer. Isn't it great? All new computers that you get with Windows 11 are going to come with Windows 11, I should say. All new computers come with it, and you can upgrade your computer to it if you need to. Why is Windows 11 important? Now, we talked about this briefly last year when we were talking about the holiday special. But Windows 11, one of the things it's going to do is it's going to render most viruses completely obsolete because of the way it uses virtualization to create sandboxes for you to work in. You don't even know what's going on in the background. Everything just works the same to the human eye, but in the background it is way more secure. That's why older processors can't run Windows 11 properly because they don't have the horsepower to virtualize different environments. Now, all the protections that we're talking about, those all happen within Windows. What happens about what comes before you load Windows? So you push the power button on your computer. Beep. It beeps. That's a post beep. Then you see a bunch of text on the screen, maybe a cool splash screen, and then you see the windows, the spinning circles as your computer boots up. A whole lot of things happened in that process before Windows even loaded. And what the Chinese have figured out is they can use this malware called MoonBeam to infect the BIOS of your computer. So this is infecting your computer at a level so far below Windows that anything Windows does going forward isn't going to be enough to protect it. And if you wipe your hard drive, you replace your hard drive, you tear your hard drive out, crush it with a hammer, put a new one in, because it's your BIOS that's infected, your computer remains infected. So this is next level state sponsored stuff going on, coming out of China. There's a couple software changes that Windows 11 requires you to make in your BIOS in order to run Windows 11. One of those is Secure Boot. The other one is in AMD we call it the FTPM or the TPM module. Basically, these are two BIOS level security things that have to be turned on in order for your computer to be Windows 11 compatible. That's why some of you, even though you have processors that are third generation that say that they are Windows 11 compatible, you can't install Windows 11 because your computer doesn't meet the minimum requirements, because those features just aren't turned on in the BIOS. We turn them on for customers and we upgrade people every day. These features prevent this Chinese moon bounce thing from getting into your computer. That's why Microsoft requires them to be turned on with Windows 11. If Microsoft didn't require it, it's impossible to secure the Windows 11 environment in the current threat structure. Was this stuff happening 6 months ago? You better believe it. Was it super top secret state-sponsored stuff 6 months ago? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, big time. Is it leaking? Is the U.S. doing this? I have no doubt. I bet this is how the U.S. infected all those Iranian centrifuge computers. No, I mean, if the U.S. did that, I mean, who knows who really did it? But if it was the U.S., a virus like this would be very difficult to get rid of, especially in an environment where you can't readily get replacement parts for a computer. You know, if the motherboard keeps reinfecting your hard drive every time you boot the computer. Oh, by the way, the entire virus resides in memory, so there is no infected files on your hard drive. So Norton LifeLock wouldn't even detect this because it's not on the hard drive. So no definition-based antivirus is going to detect this. With that said, in all fairness, you know, Sophos may detect the virus in memory, but it wouldn't be able to do anything about it because it's a motherboard level virus. Sophos can't access the motherboard by design. You don't want software running within Windows able to access your motherboard. It's not a good plan, even security software. This is the whole, if there's a backdoor thing, bad guys will eventually find it. That's why we can't put a backdoor in encryption. It's the same thing. You don't want to put a backdoor in Windows to get back to the motherboard because eventually bad guys are going to use that to get into the motherboard. Windows 11 solves all these problems by requiring very strict security just to install Windows 11. Strict, yes, it's a pain. Yes, that first time you set it up, it's not fun. But after that, you never think about it again, and it just works. This is the kind of threat that you are facing in 2022. This is the seriousness at which there's a warning out from the FBI to get your cybersecurity affairs in order, general American public, like now, because a bunch of computers in the Ukraine just got wiped. Gee, I wonder why that happened. What's going on in the Ukraine that someone would want to wipe a bunch of computers there? And gee whiz, who's sending a bunch of lethal aid to the Ukraine? Wow, if there was an invasion in the Ukraine, wouldn't it be ashamed if lots of news outlets and other things, or people peripherally connected to those outlets, had their computers wiped because their security was just not where it needed to be? Gee, I wonder why or how that could happen. Could it happen because maybe the Russians are going to invade Ukraine and maybe they want to cause as much pain as possible to people who get in their way because that's war? Do you want to be one of the people that gets in the way, even though they don't care about you? They don't care about your data. They're not trying to steal your social security. They don't care about you. They just want to use your computer to attack other computers. It's that plain and simple. Why would you let them do that? Well, this is just one more reason why moving to Windows 11, if your computer supports it, is a good idea. There are security benefits. And number two, this is just one more reason to ditch that definitions-based antivirus, whether it's, I've been picking on Norton LifeLock because of the crypto mining thing, okay? But McAfee is the same thing. AVG or Avast, same thing. They're all the same. Panda, it's the same. Trend Micro, it's the same. Total Protection is a scam. Don't install that one. Clean My Mac, that's bad too. Don't do that one. Macs need antivirus too. Macs can get infected as well. In fact, when Macs get infected, they tend to stay infected, so they're actually more valuable to the bad guys infected. I'll get off the soapbox now, guys. I think you get the message here. This new malware is just showing us that it's critically important to make sure that your technology is protected and up to speed. 888-250-2091. We're going to take a quick break. Dale and Diane, your calls are coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation. The modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute this pro tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with 4 locations to help you out. When your computer gets moonbeamed or whatever else is going to happen to it, you can bring it over to the OG Schrock Innovations just south of Pine Lake Road on 15th Street in Lincoln. Also in Omaha, 168th in Burke. In Papillion, 84th and Highway 370 in the Midlands Place Shopping Center. And also in Des Moines, 9500 University Avenue. Number to join us on the program today, 888-250-2091. Dale, thank you for hanging on the line there. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Yes, I got 2 questions one from Social Security and one from my bank about security. Social Security was talking about having an imaging, using your image as your Social Security get into your Social Security accounts. Mm-hmm. And my bank was suggesting voice as to access your bank accounts. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, we're getting into the world of biometrics. The IRS has a big problem with people submitting tax returns that aren't theirs. So in other words, if I can submit a tax return and say that I'm you and put my address down for the refund, they'll send me the check or set my bank account on the tax return. I will get the refund. And if you've called the IRS recently, I mean, the hold time wasn't awful. I was on hold for 37 minutes to deal with a payroll tax issue, a 941 tax. They sent me all the tax back. I got like a $50,000 check in the mail from the IRS, and I'm like, woohoo, baby. My accountant says, don't cash it. Don't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. And so I called the IRS, and sure enough, they made a mistake. They didn't mean to send me $50,000, but they did. Well, what if I wasn't me? What if I was somebody else that got the $50,000? What if someone filed an amended 941X tax form for my business saying they were Schrock Innovations and that we didn't employ anybody last quarter, and therefore the $50,000 in Social Security taxes should go to them? Well, what the IRS is going to require going forward is they're going to have a portal called ID.me, and you have to have an account there starting in the summer of 2022, so this is next year. It's a digital identification company that's going to require you to take a selfie with a digital camera for you to access your account. They're going to use facial recognition in addition to your password to increase the security of the account. There are other places out there that will do the same thing with voice recognition. Voice recognition is a lot easier to fool, though. You can do that with computer technology pretty easily, so it wouldn't be as secure. But a fingerprint isn't really possible because not everybody has a fingerprint. But now that everybody has a webcam, thanks to Zoom and staying home for a year, it's completely reasonable for the IRS to assume you have a camera with which to take a picture of your face.
Well, thank you.
Hey, no sweat, Dale. Thanks for calling in. A lot of tech stuff in the news this week, and that was definitely in there as well. Now, speaking of in the news, Crypto.com is a website, a popular website where people hold cryptocurrencies in what are called hot wallets. In other words, accessible wallets. A cold wallet is a piece of paper in a safe with a code written on it that if you typed it into a computer, you could get access to your cryptocurrency, but no one can steal it as long as they don't have the code. A hot wallet is a wallet that's actually on the internet that can be accessed with a username or a password or a facial recognition scan to get into the profile, and then you can move the money out. Well, that's exactly what happened to Crypto.com. Somebody hacked Crypto.com and stole $31 million between 483 users. If we divide that equally per user, that's a loss of $64,000 worth of cryptocurrency per user. That's the bad news. The good news is the value of cryptocurrency has fallen dramatically in the last week. Therefore, it's not quite 64,000. It's more like 45,000 in losses. So your losses have been pared due to the falling asset price of crypto in the face of, well, whenever there's a big hack like this, lots of people clam up. And so when there's a big hack, like a $31 million hack, and they stole Ethereum, they stole Bitcoin, they stole the biggies. This wasn't your normal junk coin kind of shystery heist thing. This was a full-on professional hack. And $31 million is not a small sum of money to steal. Crypto.com is a Singapore-based crypto exchange. They have a decision to make. Because cryptocurrency is not FDIC insured or insured by anybody, they can either make everybody whole again, they can give them $31 million of their own money and save their reputation, or they cannot. And if they don't, they're done. That's the unfortunate, hard way that crypto world works. You keep your stuff safe, and if you can't keep your stuff safe or can't have insurance in case of a breach like this to pay your people back, then you have to do it. You have to pay them back. So that's something to keep in mind, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about some crypto-y kind of stuff today. NFTs are not cryptocurrency. People get confused by that. And, of course, in the next segment, we're going to explain why Microsoft is buying Activision and what they want to do with the games and everything else and the NFTs and why there's so much money to be made there. It's something that you need to at least understand, the sketches on. Think about going back in time. The internet is a series of tubes connecting people together. If you were thinking of a pneumatic system, like, at the bank where you put the tube in the thing and you hit the button, it goes, and it goes into the teller. If you were thinking like that's the internet, like I'm sending a message from one person to another, it's not a bad analogy. But the analogy doesn't carry through now because the internet has become so much more than a series of tubes carrying emails around, right? This is the same thing. This is NFT generation 1. This is metaverse generation 1. If you understand the basics of how it works, if you understand that it's a series of tubes, that gives you the foundation to grow from so that eventually someday you'll be shopping online and doing things online that you normally are doing now, but you'll be using the metaverse and you'll be using NFTs and you may not even know it. Just the same way right now when you shop online, you have no idea you're using 256-bit encryption. It just happens. It's in the background. You don't know. You don't think about it. Same thing. 888-250-2091. Diane, Kathy, stay on the line. Your call's coming up next on Compute This.
If you can dream it, Schrock Interactive's website developers can make it happen. Refresh your website, automate sales and marketing, and grow your business today with Schrock Interactive. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute this pro tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
I'm Terran McHugh. The British government is accusing Russia of seeking to replace the government of Ukraine with a pro-Moscow administration. The claim, however, is based on an intel assessment without providing any evidence to back it up. Moscow is denying Britain's claims. Meanwhile, the U.S. is funneling weapons and equipment to Ukraine as tensions between Kiev and Moscow intensify.
With tensions growing around the region, that U.S. military aid might be arriving just in time. And it's the first allotment of a major amount of security assistance, as they call it, lethal aid for the Ukrainian army, ammunition destined for frontline Ukrainian troops facing off against Russian-backed separatist fighters in the long-running conflict in eastern Ukraine. Now, outside of Ukraine's borders, the buildup of some 125,000 Russian troops, tanks, and other hardware continues.
Fox's Greg Balcott. America is listening to Fox News.
Now,
Aid
the News
for the
Radio
Ukrainian army,
1110
ammunition
KFAB
destined for
Weather
frontline
Watch.
Ukrainian
Cold
troops.
and windy this morning. Temperatures dropping around 17.
Now,
Aid
the News
for the
Radio
Ukrainian army,
1110
ammunition
KFAB
destined for
Weather
frontline
Watch.
Ukrainian
Cold
troops.
and windy this morning. Temperatures dropping around 17.
Now,
Aid
the
for
News
the
Radio
Ukrainian army,
1110
ammunition
KFAB
destined
dropping to 22.
for
Weather
frontline
Watch.
Ukrainian
With
troops.
the most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist David
Aid
Hyde.
for the Ukrainian army, ammunition destined
Back in to compute this. I
for
hope
frontline
you
Ukrainian
guys
troops.
got bag of your donuts, everything good to go, because we've got to continue on. This I hope you guys got bag of your donuts, everything good to go, because but I've got some people we've got to continue on. This I hope you guys got bag of your donuts, everything good to go, because but I've got some people we've got to continue. This I hope you guys got bag of your donuts, everything good to go, because but I've got some people we've got to continue. This I hope you guys got bag of your donuts, everything good to go, because but I've got some people we've got to continue. This I hope you
and download and
I've got some people we've got to continue.
and download and
I've got some people we've got to continue.
and download and
I've got some people we've got to continue.
and download and
I've got some people we've got to continue.
and download and
I've got some people we've got to continue.
and download and and
during the boot to during the boot the wrong make some changes to some changes to and if it doesn't work out for some reason, and if it doesn't work out for some reason, if it doesn't work out for some reason, computer security. By the way, you can mine. 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 No one else is going to have this power. No one else is going to have this power. No one else is going to have this power. No one else is going to have this power. No one else is going to have this power. No one else NFT. NFT. And a serial number that could and a serial number that and a serial number that and a serial number and a serial number and a serial number going forward because going forward going forward is happening going forward skin looks the same. Everybody is happy going forward. Skin looks the same. Everybody is happy going forward. Specifically, so that's what NFT have to go inside the have to go inside the a week and a half 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 Schrock, if you're somebody who 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 Schrock, if you're somebody who
just doesn't work. Virus doesn't work. Response, virus doesn't work.
understand it, you're dead. Understand it, you're dead. You did a promotion in the street. You did a promotion in the street. You did a promotion in the street. Because they work hard. They work hard. They work hard. There is no there is no Video games are all free because video games are all free because video games are all free. Video games are all free. Video games are all free.